There's a lot of TV shows and movies out there that typically tug at people's heartstrings, whether it be sad or depressing or like very heartwarming or whatever. There's a lot of TV series and shows out there that, tend to make people cry. But not me, because I'm edgy and emotionless. What? Why do I do these things? Okay, so obviously I'm not trying to say that I'm like this tough guy, this I'm a man, I don't cry kind of guy, I would say I'm kind of the opposite actually. But when it comes to watching shows and like series and all that or movies, there's rarely been any form of media that has made me cry. Now, this is not to say that I'm emotionless about the characters or anything. I mean, in fact, if it's a really good story like Andor, for example, that shit kind of got me fucked up emotionally, because it wasn't like, oh, this guy's a fucking loser, he lost everything. It was more like, fuck you, man. Fuck you, Tony Gilroy. Why the fuck did you make him go through all this? But I didn't cry at that show. So yeah, I still feel emotional about the characters, but it's not to the point where they would make me cry until COVID, at least. So in my life, there's only been 2 shows and movies, so like 1 show, 1 movie, that actually have made me cry. In middle school, it was Angel Beats, and that's because, I was a kid, so emotions, I guess? I didn't have enough control over my emotions or whatever, but yeah, Angel Beats made me cry in like middle school, probably high school, I'm not sure, but it was around that time. And the other was a movie that I watched during COVID. So we all know of the dark times when we were all forced to stay inside, be friendless, and take good care of ourselves. I mean, fuck, I can't believe we had to do that. But anyway, yeah, during COVID, one of my friends started getting into anime, and since, we couldn't just go out and hang out, every night we would just stream anime together. And me and my other friend curated like a whole spreadsheet of must-watches and whatnot, and we'd basically go through a bunch of, shows together. Now that other friend one day just went, hey guys, you want to feel depressed? And pulled out the movie that I will now finally talk about. Maquia, When the Promised Flowers Bloom. Now this movie flew so underneath the radar apparently, because even I didn't hear about it, and I was actively watching anime back then. I mean, I just finished watching Frieren recently, so... But yeah, the 4 of us, being the battle-hardened men we were, decided to go and see how this movie would get us. And boy, we were all fucking pussies by the end of it. Spoiler warning, by the way. So yeah, this movie, Maquia, tells the story of Maquia, a young girl who is an Eorf, a race of people who live for hundreds of years and are known to be very beautiful, from what I know at least, and her adopted son as she attempts to raise him. Now throughout the whole show, it just feels like a heartwarming story of a single mother doing her best to raise her child. And so we didn't really feel the need to cry, we were just like, damn, she's a good mother. Now, being the dumbasses we are, and being the goofy little boys we are, when we watch shows, usually we kind of ruin them with stupid commentary along the way, but this movie, we were just giving it like a bunch of awws because, it's a sweet movie. In fact, the only clowning that we really did was on the friend who recommended this to us, because again, he promised us that we would cry when we watched it. But he stayed silent because he knew of the slow burn that's gonna come and kill us all in the hearts and But yeah, before I get to the part where the 4 of us, yeah, there was another friend there, by the way, cried like little bitches, I'd like to glaze the movie a little bit. It starts off as kind of like your typical fantasy anime where there's this near immortal race of beautiful people, the Eorfs, living in a hidden area, and then they get found out, and then, later they're like G-sided since the people who found them wanted to know the secret to their long lives and shit. But yeah, after Maki escapes, she then travels around and eventually finds a child whose mother died from an ambush, and she decides to raise him as her own. Now, I think the reason why this movie is so good is not because of the whole fantasy and some parts of the action, but more of the main point of the story, the relationship between a mother and her child. This is quite possibly one of the most difficult subjects to try to portray well in terms of entertainment media, and this movie fucking nailed it. So how does this movie do it so well? Well, from my watch, I never watched it again because I don't want to destroy myself, it just felt so relatable, especially since the kid's also a boy. Young boys are more caring for their mothers, usually since mothers typically give primary care to them. I mean, they give primary care to all their children when they are born, but, I'll explain this fact. Now obviously this isn't the case for all people since everyone lives under different conditions and attachment patterns may vary, but statistically speaking, males are more drawn to their mothers than their fathers during infancy. Anyway, starting from infancy, the kid named Ariel is often seen being very protective of his mother and always cheerful for her, showing her a lot of love and trying to help her out whenever he can. So, typical things that kids do for their mothers. Now, since this is a fantasy genre, obviously there's bound to be some trouble, and in this case, the kingdom is looking for Maquia and the rest of her race to try to breed them into the royal lineage so that they could essentially get immortal, near immortal, I guess, members of the family so they could rule forever and whatnot. Now, Maquia being a single mother, she's obviously having a lot of trouble, and also she's never had children before, and Ariel eventually sees her crying and forces her to promise that she will never cry so that she can only be happy and show strength for her child. As Ariel grows older into a teenager, jump scare, teenage angst, and he starts showing off some attitude towards her. Now this is mainly because he starts to realize that Maquia isn't really showing signs of aging, and then he kind of starts crashing out about it. He's also trying to fit in, as most teens tend to do. Boy, I do love clicks! And, wants to be less of a mama's boy and more of a man. It's also later revealed he's angry that he's not strong enough to protect her from potential danger, which he then later, gets angry at her for. Teenagers are confusing, man. Even I was confused when I was a teenager. To me, this part of the movie made me feel a little bit guilty. I'm not afraid to admit that I was not the perfect child. I had my bratty moments where I disrespected my mom and definitely made her feel sad about me, which I still regret to this day. Don't worry though, my relationship with my mother is perfectly fine, and I think I grew up to be a better person today. But yeah, I feel like we've all had our rebellious phases where we either did or said something that would have broken our mother's hearts, and seeing a perfect reflection of this kind of phase of my life just felt so resonating to me. It made me feel guilt and made the character a little more grounded. Ariel is kind of like the manifestation of the average teen angst that teens feel towards their parents as they grow older. Now, if we skip ahead, Maquia doesn't see Ariel for a long time because he goes off on his own to join the army to feel more independent, and also Maquia gets kidnapped by the kingdom, so there's that happens too. Now, we also get a bit of a time skip, again, where Ariel is now married and is expecting his first child. Maquia had some shenanigans and adventures going on her end and ends up at Ariel's house where she meets Dita, his wife. She helps deliver the baby and doesn't realize that she helped deliver her grandchild. Until the end, where she finally realizes that Ariel has his own family now. This also shows a sign of growth in her character because she was very emotionally attached to him, as all mothers are, but here she realizes that part of motherhood is knowing that your child will eventually grow up and grow apart from you. Her calmly accepting this shows that her role as a mother has finally ended, and Ariel is now starting his own family. Now, what made this hurt more for me is that I was kind of in the beginning of that process with me and my own mom when I watched it. Going to college is when you start becoming more individualized as a person, and that's when a lot of mothers get a little sad knowing that their babies are now grown-ups that can take care of themselves. Most of the time, at least. So yeah, so far it just seems like a heartwarming story about a mother and her child, right? Well, all of this buildup of a mother's love and relationship with her kids will just hit you all at once like Truck-kun when we get to the final time skip. Ariel is now an old man and on his deathbed, and Maquia decides to visit him one last time to see him and offer him comfort in his dying moments. As she leaves this house and walks off to continue rebuilding her village and race, all the memories she shared with her son come flooding in, and she speaks one line that made 4 men cry in front of each other. She then bursts into tears as she mourns her son's passing. Now, I tried to hold it all back, but I simply couldn't. Just thinking about this scene makes me tear up a little bit too. All of this also kind of ties back to a line spoken at the beginning of the movie. You must love no one. If you fall in love, you will become truly alone. But I think that this kind of changed as you progress through the movie. It's more that love is a challenge that everyone faces, and the hardships of a mother go beyond normal love. While Maquia didn't give birth to Ariel, she went through all the challenges a mother has when it comes to raising a child. The time and effort giving love to them, the pain of a rebellious phase, and learning to know your child has become independent. And while not all mothers face this, there is also the possibility of saying goodbye to your child before your own time. This love has not made Maquia alone, but brought her more people into her life. She learned compassion and what it means to care and dedicate your life to something beyond yourself. And this movie really tugged at me and my friends' hearts because it was simply a beautiful story that almost everyone goes through, but don't tend to read too closely. Now, before I close off this video, I have seen some arguments where people are saying that, Maquia is not a good mother because she left Ariel for such a long time. Have you been watching the movie? But seriously though, the reason why that's not really the case is because, well, one, Ariel left on his own accord because he wasn't feeling manly enough. And also two, the reason why Maquia felt it was better for her to stay away is because, well, as I said before, her race, so, her as well, they're being hunted actively. And if, she's seen staying around Ariel, then they could be treated as like enemies of the Empire, enemies of the kingdom. So, execution. That could happen. So she is protecting Ariel in a way. So don't say that she's a bad mother. Also, I've read enough isekai to know, that's bound to happen. But anyways, if you all want to cry, I suggest watching this movie. It's actually really good. I don't know why it flew under the radar so much. I think it was around this time that I forgot what movie it was, but it was like a huge anime movie that everyone said was good. In my opinion, I didn't think it was better than Maquia. Maybe I was too young to understand, but I don't know, I just didn't really like the movie. But Maquia, I give an 8 out of 10. It's a really solid movie overall. And to those of you who've watched it and had their hearts broken, shattered, cried maybe a little bit, let me know what y'all thought about it in the comments below. And if you guys really like this video and you guys want to come back and watch more content, hit that like and subscribe button. And yeah, I'm not really good at advertising my own channel. So yeah, that's all I got. As they say in Japanese, so yeah, thank you so much for watching the video. That's all I got for this week, and peace.